your God power. Get everything you ever wanted and live the life of your dreams. The Master's Course. Copyright 2010 by Richard Lee McKim Jr. All rights reserved. Let the quest for knowing begin. Well, the first likes the fast life of money and travel. His parents may have been poor, but they told their son, asserted, that the life to have is with lots of money and everything it can buy. If you have that, you have got it made. Of course, this is oversimplified for the example, but this is how definitions and beliefs are formed by assertion. You are told what is good or bad, what to strive for, and what is not worth your time. How many times have you heard this phrase ringing in your mind? A penny saved is a penny earned. That's a definition by assertion, especially if the person saying it, asserting it, wasn't a saver. This doesn't mean that people who define by assertion are hypocrites. A poor family may not have the opportunity to demonstrate by their own example the joys of wealth. Most everything you learn in school is by assertion. The teachers themselves are usually not in a position to be living examples of what they teach. Let's go on to the second example above, the man who lives in the woods. His parents told him when he was young and learning his new definitions of what is and what is not true, that making it on your own makes you a real man, quote unquote. People who rely on store-bought food and the conveniences of electricity are weak. To be a quote-unquote real man, you must prove yourself against nature and live in harmony with the earth. I'm sure that you can readily see that this man would be very unhappy in a corporate job and living in the city. His father's words would be ringing in his head every day on his way to work and back, and every time he put a store-bought TV dinner in the microwave. I know what you're thinking. What if he wants to live in the city and have the things that money can buy? Of course! That is the beauty of being human. We have the power and ability to change any definition or belief that we already have, no matter how, when, or where we got it, and make any new one that we want. This is just an oversimplified example of a possible effect of an asserted definition, belief, or value by a parent. Next, example. Definition by example is learning what is true and real by seeing someone living it. This is an example of someone having fun and being happy in a given circumstance or being unhappy in a given circumstance. This can be a very powerful way of learning definitions of what is valuable and what is not. The learning comes not from the example itself, but from the interpretation of the example. It is the interpretation of the example that gives it meaning. This is a very important distinction. And definition and beliefs by assertion, the definition of what was valuable was explained clearly and did not have to be figured out. But in definition and beliefs by example, just seeing an example is not enough. It must be decided, what does this mean? Is this something I should strive for or not? Let's reconsider the example above of the man living in the woods. Suppose he had a son living with him. The son sees the example of his father working hard every day and not having any of the modern conveniences. Now, this must be interpreted. The son may think, we are poor and have to struggle for everything we have. If only we were rich. With this interpretation or meaning, the son would wake up every day and feel bad, unlucky, lacking, needy, and less by comparison to his friends and others because of their lack of the things that the others have. Or the father may define the values for his son this way: we live like real men, matching our wits against nature and surviving on our own. We are not the weak who have to have those modern conveniences. We can do everything ourselves. With this interpretation or meaning, the son wakes up every day feeling strong and proud like Tarzan, ready to take on the challenges of the day, full of self-esteem. And once again, self-esteem is everything. The power to change your life lies in your definitions and their meanings. Another interesting point is that the example doesn't even have to be real. The example could be a fable or story with a moral, such as the story of the three pigs, or a story without a moral at all. People, especially children, learn by examples on TV and the movies all the time. Most parents worry about their children watching violence on TV, but sheltering them from it is actually more harmful. While I don't advocate the hardcore gore that is out there, most of these shows and movies can be used as teaching or defining tools. This concept is like the immune system. Whenever your body is exposed to something harmful, it builds antibodies against it. However, studies have shown if children are sheltered from all diseases and never develop antibodies against them, they could die from even the smallest exposure later in life. Remember, it is easier to plant on fresh ground and make new definitions and establish first meanings where there were none before than to change definitions and meanings already rooted in the mind. With this in mind, you should take every opportunity to watch TV and the movies with your children and guide the defining process to your liking. A lot of movies these days portray the bad guys as heroes. They get respect, the money, and the glory. These are all forms of self-esteem. A child on his own or with a crowd of his peers lacking self-esteem may see that as a role model, definition by example, to follow. While all role models are examples, what they are examples of is always defined. While watching the movie with your child, you may point out something in the movie and say, was that the right thing to do in that situation? You guide the defining by example by either saying it was or wasn't, depending on the example and what you want to accomplish as a parent. Explain as you go during the movie or afterwards, and discuss the characters and what was good and bad about each and why. Yes, this takes work. But once it is done, no matter what they see, their values, meanings, and beliefs are set. And what they see in the movies and in life will automatically fall into previously established categories. It is not my place or anyone's to tell you what is right or wrong. That would be defining on my part. My only intention is to show you how to easily and effectively accomplish what you want.
To continue, go to How to Use Your God Power, Chapter number 8, Segment number 7. Let your quest for knowing continue.